I think there's 5 things you can do to help you kind of find your dream job. And we've kind of hit all of these as we've been talking, but to kind of like summarize for any of our listeners who might be a note taker and go, let me put this on a note card. What's my big takeaway here? One, I think you got to know what you want. We talked about that, and where you're going. And that's where that career direction planning is really important. I think the second thing is you've got to know your value. And I think you have to know your value in your different seasons. Mm-hmm. I wasn't always a 6-figure guy. Mm-hmm. I had to work there to get there. And I remember when I reached it the first time, I also remembered when I reached it in my own business, which was a lot sweet, more tasting when you reached it there because I did it all, in that way. But I think it's really important to know what your value is compensation wise in your career at your different stages, and know what value and skill sets you bring at different stages too, in that. And that goes into the third thing is like, and Paula, you've talked a lot about this, is like targeting companies and looking at companies that are going to take you where you want to go. And I think that gets into, looking at job requirements. And this is where I have a question for you on, if you're a job seeker and you're looking at this job description and these requirements and you're thinking, this has the things I want to do, but I don't know how to do all of them, but this is the company I want to work in. This is things I want to go for, from a recruitment perspective, how much of that job requirement do I need to have for me to apply for that job and go for it and go beyond without making the recruiter think, gosh, this person's a real idiot?
Yeah, you should have the key qualifications, right? If there is a job description, you should have the minimum requirements for the position, in my opinion. I've seen both sides of this fence where they say, apply for whatever you're interested in. And I don't buy it. I don't think we should be applying for positions that we're not qualified for. And the other problem you're going to have is so many companies use applicant tracking systems. And so if your resume is not written to the specs in the job description, you're not going to come up as a match for the role. And a recruiter's never going to see your information anyway. Right. So, get as close to the position as you can. If you don't have all the, the minimum number of years of experience they're looking for, but you have, if they're looking for 10 years and you have 8, I would say that's close enough. So let's use that rule of thumb. Let's use the 80% rule. You should at least be 80% qualified for what it is they're looking for. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, no, that seems like really fair advice. I would say that sometimes the opposite advice is out there, right? That says, well, if you don't have 75% of skills, you'll learn it on the job.
Fake it till you make it.
That's 100%.
Fake it till you make it. That's right.
So, well, I think that's fair. And I think that, again, as you do look at, your career direction, your career path, that you may realize, well, I do want to be at the director level in this particular role, but I may need to do, A, B, and C before I get to that role to gain the experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And the exposure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And the fourth thing, which we've mentioned a lot here, is you've got to raise your hand. You've got to share your career brand story. No one is going to know where you want to go if you're not advocating you. And I say that all the time. You've got to learn to advocate you and put yourself out there. My business is not going to grow if people don't know about my business, right? And so I think that that's really important. And then networking with the people you want to be like. Who are those influential people that you look up to? Who are the people that you want to be around? and that you can see and model yourself after. I think it's really important to find those type of life-giving relationships.